Well, the story of Catherine Graham, from being the housewife, his father owned the paper, and when he married Philip Graham, I believe, her husband became the publisher until the husband died and she assumed the post. So she knew nothing much about the newspaper and about how to stand up for what the truth is. And the first real test were the Pentagon papers. For some reason, somebody managed to access the top secret papers of the Pentagon relating to the Vietnam War, starting from the time of Dwight Eisenhower all the way to Nixon. At the time, 1971, when the movie started, it was 1971, Nixon's regime. And then the Post published what is construed to be secret papers. The government sued the Post to stop the publication. And that's where Catherine Graham made a probably a very risky decision without knowing really what the newspaper really stands for, what the concept or the virtue of standing up to free speech, to the principles of press freedom. And she made that very momentous choice of saying, publish. And that started, the Post becoming a national institution. And the last scene was the Watergate break-in, right? It was the Washington Post who broke the story and published the Watergate, which led to the resignation eventually of President Nixon. But I think the most telling part of the story was at the end already, when the newspaper was on the streets announcing or publishing the story on the Pentagon papers. And I don't know whether it was Tom Hanks or Meryl Streep who played Kay Graham said this. He said, let's assume it's Tom Hanks. He said that news is the first draft of history. So it just points out to the very valuable role that media plays in a democracy like ours. In contemporary times in this country, news are in the news, right? And I don't have to repeat or say those examples, but it does highlight the role, even if it's your business reporters, the role of speaking to the truth, which is something that those of you who've seen or watched or listened to the speech that what's her name, Oprah Winfrey made in the Globe Awards, right? Supporting the Me Too movement. That a free press is a critical element to democracy. And conversations, the ability to communicate freely is something that we should respect. It is in fact a strength, your ability to be open to critical comments, to new ideas is a critical element to democracy. And everyone, including the leadership, must accept that that is important. It is not a source of weakness, but it is actually a source of strength. In any event, in this internet age, you know that our business of telco is very much disrupted by social media and the internet, and so is news, right? Your own business is affected by these changes. So across it all, these disruptions that are happening in our world, it is very important that that you cover, with the subject matter that you cover, appreciate what you're doing in order to express in your own words how we are doing, be critical and so forth, so long as you're honest with your views. In fact, someone quoted the decision, when this was brought all the way to the Supreme Court by the US government, the Washington Post, somebody quoted part of the opinion of Justice Black, saying free press is essential to those pertaining to the governors and not really to those who are governed. So it is to the leadership, like PLDT, who must appreciate the value of a critical press like yourselves. No? So, yun lang. I'm glad that the level of journalistic analysis of business has improved over the years. In my early days with you, I've been always critical of the low level of analysis of business journalists, particularly of financial statements analysis, right? So I think you have improved, much more to go, as new ways of presenting financial accounts are modified. I think there's a new one that Annabelle just explained to us this week about how we report how companies are now supposed to report their revenues. And the way, second groundbreaking revision is the way we report gains on your investments, even if you haven't sold them. So, things are changing quickly on financial disclosures and accounting, and of course things are changing the way you deliver the news because of social media. So, in that respect, we have a very strong kinship, telco and media. No? So, yun lang. I do hope, I wish the new leadership, Luella, much success in the coming year, and we hope to be here again in the next year. Yeah? Thank you.